So before I get into this video, I just wanted to apologize with the lack of uploads I've been doing. I know it's been 2 weeks, but I just feel like I could have done a lot better in terms of uploading more videos. There was more trailer reactions I could have done, but then again, I've been a bit busy. Just got a lot going on. But now that we're done, I feel like I'm gonna be more focused. I've got a lot of things to do now, and yeah, today we're going to be reviewing F1 the movie. So the film is directed by Joseph Kosinski. I hope I said it right. I don't think I did. But oh well. It also stars Damson Idris and Brad Pitt. Both of these characters have their unique taste. Say for example with Brad Pitt's character, he's a retired F1 racer, while Damson Idris' character is an up and coming F1 racer. So there's a dynamic duo between the both, and they also have a collision in terms of like the story and stuff and what makes them very unique and so on and so forth. Now I am a very huge fan of sports movies. Any single sports movie you add, I'll watch. Gran Turismo, Creed, Rocky. There's just so much. Like, I really love them, even though if they're like really bad. I still tend to love these movies because it's just I like those movies. Like they're very motivational. They sometimes have a good story, sometimes they're very formulaic, but for me those type of films just gets me very engaged in terms of the story and just the surroundings and the world buildings overall. The film's budget itself was 300 million, which is completely insane. I feel like for a film like that, it is a very risky take, but then again they had a lot of sponsorships. It was produced by Lewis Hamilton himself. It was funded by Apple. It was funded by other companies too. They had a lot of hope for this film, and I'm glad they did, because 300 million, especially for this film, was spent really well. Like in terms of the way they built F2 into F1 racing cars, the fact that they did that was completely insane. A lot of the times when they do these action scenes and stuff like that, it's actually happening. Like the races are actually happening, and they do it in whenever there's a break in like those F1 races, and when they do have the time for that, they're going to be using it in that film, which I really liked. It was really fun to see, being immersed into that feeling, and the fact they used the right sort of cinematography, the right sort of camera work at times. It actually feels like you are part of that journey too, which I really liked. Yeah, I really liked the world building. I really liked how some characters are those characters, like the side characters in particular. They play a vital role in terms of the movie and what makes an F1 team a great team. The main two characters especially, they played really well. I think Damson Idris' character in particular, I really liked. I'm very excited to see him in upcoming projects. I know he's known best for Snowfall, although I haven't watched it, even though I should watch it. That's one of the films I need to watch. Sorry, shows. I don't know why I said that. I did hear that there was a sequence between him and Simone Ashley, who was in the film, but however they had to cut her scenes out because due to pacing issues and stuff, which happens in films. It's part of the filmmaking process, but it is unfortunate because she could have played a vital role. In particular, I think she played a love interest, which is probably the reason why they cut it out, because Damson Idris' character and the mother in particular, they play a very good dynamic into the film, which I think made sense. And the fact that they had to add probably a love interest into this, I don't feel like it would work well. Brad Pitt's character in particular gets a lot more screen time in terms of like who he is and stuff, so gets a love interest. The technical director in terms of like team and stuff, she plays really good too. I really liked the way the pacing was throughout. I think they did a really good job, and although they had to cut some things out, which made sense, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed how fast paced it was. You don't feel bored at all. You feel very engaged to the story. And I understand the story can be formulaic, but the fact that it actually works in terms of like the charisma these characters put into it, the cinematography, the atmosphere, it feels very unique. Now I'll be honest, the film does have a bit of flaws. I'd say sometimes in the editing process, whenever there's a conversation between like 3 or 4 characters, it edits fast to the point we don't even know which character is pointing to which. That kind of bugged me out. I don't know if you guys see it, but it was only this one particular scene, so I'm not going to complain much about that, but that was only one scene. Another thing I would say is sometimes it does slow down a bit. The pacing does slow down a bit. I'm not going to particularly say which scenes that does slow down, but I feel like you would know, of course, when you watch it. But then again, it doesn't really matter because it actually works out at the end. I would say I wish Damson Idris' character would have got a lot more screen time. I was more excited to see his character because he is an up and coming racer, so you would probably expect to see him probably get a lot more screen time, but it makes sense because Brad Pitt is the main star of the film. So if he's going to get a lot of screen time, you might as well make him as the main character of the film. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed this film. I really liked how realistic it can be in terms of driving these cars. And I do give props to Damson Idris and Brad Pitt, both just racing these cars, which is completely insane. Like, they're driving at these fast miles. Obviously, they do get help, but they're doing this by themselves in some scenarios. Like in the scenes you see, they're actually driving these cars and they're acting too. So you have to give huge praise to them for actually putting so much dedication and hard work into this stuff for us fans in particular. And that's what really amazes me about cinema, because as much as these actors are acting, sometimes they put so much effort into this stuff where you just sometimes need to appreciate it, and you have to give props to them. Now, I do probably think this will probably get into the conversation in terms of the Oscars for next year. Not in particular for Best Picture. I just don't see that happening. It is an enjoyable film, but you know how Oscars are when it comes to best pictures. They're just going to pick a very pretentious movie, and I don't think this is going to be part of that. But I think in terms of stunts, probably visual effects, probably that in that category, probably editing or score. The score in particular was very good by Hans Zimmer. He does his job really well, and I really liked it a lot. I mean, in particular, I'm listening to F1 a lot in Spotify, and you know, if you listen to a song on Spotify, in particular a film score, you know the film is very good. But yeah, I don't really think it can be in the conversation of Best Picture, but it could be in the technicality area, which I do think can be a contender, because I do expect it. But yeah, I'm also hearing a possibility of a sequel happening, considering how successful this box office run is going, making 150 million in the opening weekend. You do expect it to make a sequel out of this. I mean, why not? This is probably an IP, and it's not even based on a true story. It's based on a real like a film adaptation, which makes it very unique to in terms of like the film itself. I thought they were going to be realistically adapting into something like a true story, but I guess they didn't. And I'm glad they didn't, because we have a lot of sports films where they just adapt into like real life scenarios, and I don't feel like we need that anymore. I mean, I don't mind having it, but for a film like this with the 300 million budget, with something that's very standalone, having its very own music, like Tate McGraw, I don't know if I pronounced it right, Doja Cat with it along too, Ed Sheeran too. Yeah, this film is really marketed to be really like mainstream, and it's rightfully deserved for a film like this. So I think overall this is a very fun film. I really enjoyed it myself. My cinema experience in terms of just being immersed into this experience was real fun. You do feel like you're into this racing simulation. It does a very good job into like captivating that. But yeah, overall, I think I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. This is a very good film. I really enjoyed it, and I think everyone else should be watching this. This is a very good time for you to just get immersed into this F1 experience, and you won't be wasting a lot of money into this film. It's really worth it. So overall, I'm gonna be giving this film an 8 out of 10. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and take care.